Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Turing Machine. As you can see from the setup here, I'm trying one of the additional difficulty modes that is available. This one is called Extreme. Within either Extreme or Nightmare modes, you still also choose a difficulty level, easy, standard, or hard, and a number of verifiers, 4 through 6. I didn't actually paste the... There we go. That's the code for playing the game. So the way that this one works, and I had to set this up partially by hand, because this mod apparently doesn't actually support extreme mode. But basically, you can see each verifier has 2 cards. In the string that I pasted here... it says verifier E should use card 421 as its actual verifier, and criteria cards 18 and 17. So what does it mean to have 2 cards? It basically just means that you should sort of view these as one giant card. So this tests either yellow compared to 4, or it tests the sum of blue and yellow. So it's as if there were one single card with 6 possibilities written on it. And so you still have to narrow down what each card could be to a single thing in order to be unique. It's just that every card has twice as many possibilities, and they're not always so thematically related. I chose to play on standard, so I don't know. Maybe hard wouldn't have been that much worse, because the main thing that makes standard easier than hard is that you don't have cards that are... Or rather, that all your cards are mutually exclusive, so each possibility that tells you something about a criteria also tells you about the actual code. In this case, you don't have that anyway, because half the... I don't know. Anyway, so... I haven't really put much thought into what you should do to win a game of extreme mode. I'm just going to kind of try to logic through it. You can see I selected some cards here. And if you look at the chat log, you'll even notice, there it is, yes, that I verified card A. I was just testing that clicking the button still worked, given that I had put another verifier here. I didn't actually look at what result I got. I guess I could have simplified things by not letting you guys see that. I could have just deleted these, and then it would look like a fresh setup. But I did actually click A, and in principle, I could have looked to see if it was check or cross, but I didn't. Okay, so as always, the code, if you want to play this one along with me, or probably before me, is here and should be in the description of the video as well. I'm going to start looking through these and see if I can make any early deductions. Blue equal to 1. Oh, dear. So, if we had just these 2 verifiers, we could say, oh, it can't be saying that blue is equal to 1, because then we would know blue is odd, and this card would provide us no information. But it isn't just this card. It's this pair of cards. And it would just mean, okay, if blue is 1, we know one of these 2 things is true, but we still don't know which, so it wouldn't be redundant, right? Likewise, if the total sum being 6 were a criterion, then we would look at this and say, oh, this can't tell me that it's even, or that would be telling me that the sum is even. And then this card would give us no information. But the combination of these 2 cards would, because to add up to 6, you could have either one even number or three even numbers, right? Well, three even numbers would be pretty hard. It would have to be specifically 222. Actually, I think that is impossible. I think we can say that they can't sum to 6. Because if so, too many cards... Oh, right. It's not the sum of all of them. It's the sum of just blue and yellow. So never mind all that. If they summed to more than 6, then I would know that blue is not 1. But I still couldn't say anything about this. God, okay, this is so complicated. Maybe I should have started on easy. And, you know, kind of funnily, if this said there are 3 even numbers or there are 2 even numbers, like, actually, that's kind of funny. These 2 cards could never be in the same game unless they're in the same verifier. Right? Because the number of even numbers tells you whether the sum is even or odd. And so this card would always make this one redundant. But since they're on the same verifier, we don't actually know. We might be told how many even numbers there are, or we might be told slightly less information, which is just whether the total sum is even or odd. Right? Knowing how many evens there are tells you this plus a bit more. And we don't know which we're actually going to be told. What if could there be 3 even numbers? It seems so hard. Right? Because then we'd either know that, well, this card couldn't be giving us any information, and neither could this one. And so this would either be telling us there's a pair, i.e. 2 of one even number and 1 of the other, or not telling us there's a pair, meaning all the numbers are the same. And it couldn't be telling us there's a pair, right? Sorry, it couldn't be telling us the numbers are all the same. So I guess what I'm doing, I'm trying to rule out, like, okay, if this said all even numbers, then there would have to be just a pair. Because if there weren't, they'd all be the same, and this card would be totally useless. Nothing on here could tell me anything. I'd already know blue is greater than 1, and I'd know yellow is equal to purple, so I couldn't get any information from any of these. So the question is there a way for all the numbers to be even? If so, there would have to be a single pair as well. And I would know, this would tell me something about the relation of yellow and purple, but I don't know which. Aha! This one, B. B proves that the numbers can't all be even. Or rather, we can't be being told they're all even anyway. Because if so, this card would tell us nothing. There would be no numbers ascending or descending, and purple would be even. So neither of these cards could tell us anything. So we learned something, finally. So for E, we know there are 0 to 2 evens. What about 0 evens? That's also impossible for the same reason, right? Because that would mean 3 odds. There'd be this card could tell us nothing. So in fact, we know there are 1 to 2 evens. Now, we don't know that that's what this verifier is checking. Ah. Right. So we don't actually know how many evens there are. We just know this verifier can't tell us there are 0 evens or 3 evens. It could tell us there's 1, or it could tell us there's 2, or it could not tell us at all and just tell us this. Ah, but, well, if, no, because it could tell us the sum is even, in which case, like, there could actually be 0 odd numbers and 1 even, right? Or there could even be 3 evens. But since the verifier didn't tell us there are 3 evens, that verifier wouldn't be making any of these others obviously redundant. Okay. So I need to have a way of taking notes that isn't going to confuse me. And I think I'm going to do the horrible line system that just makes it so hard to cross-reference what's happening. But at least it doesn't confuse me about what it is I think I'm claiming. So this has 2 possibilities on the bottom. I could have done this before you guys got here, but I didn't realize I was going to need it for all of the clues. So we know that it's not the case that there are 0 or 3 evens being promised to us by this verifier. There could be 0 or 3 evens, but the verifier can't tell us that. Okay, just a moment while I just write this shit down. Oh, that line is so off-center. Come on. Better. B has 2 on top, 3 on bottom. Actually, let me just draw all the horizontal lines first. Real assembly line strats. 2 on top, 3 on bottom? Yeah. Okay, I made the middle one is twice as big as the others, but it's fine. 2 on top, 3 on bottom again. Yeah, that's better. And then just 2 on each. Okay. So I got a little bit of mileage out of looking through all the verifiers. Can I get more? I don't see anything obvious. I'm sure there are multiple things I'm missing here. Well, actually, hang on. What about this? Could there be 3 numbers in ascending or descending order? I don't think so. Because look what that would do to verifier E. We would know either that there are... Well, so there would either be even, odd, even, or odd, even, odd, right? That's required to have 3 ascending numbers in sequence, right? They have to actually be a sequence. They can't just be in order. Okay. So if that were the case, we would know that there are either 1 or 2 even numbers. And I thought that that would make this verifier redundant. Because no matter what it's telling us, we would already know. Right? Because it can't be telling us that there are 0 or 3 evens. But I'm not quite sure that rises to the level of how redundancy, superfluosity is defined. Because the only reason we know this card isn't telling us 1, 3, 5, 3 evens or 0 evens is because that would make something else superfluous. I forget which one even. It was this one, right? So if we consider that this one is telling us something, and we're claiming this is superfluous, well, that means we don't get to know. Well, no, hang on. Because if I'm told there's 3 in a sequence, that already makes it impossible that this could be saying there's 0 or 3. So it would either be telling us there's 1 or there's 2, or it would be telling us the sum is even or the sum is odd. But I guess that parity information might be what we would need to uniquely determine the code, right? So we can't say, oh, because I know there's either 1 even or 2 even, then this card can't tell me anything. Yes, it can. It could tell you whether there's 1 even or 2 even, right? But okay, what about D? If there were a sequence of 3 numbers, there couldn't be a pair, so this bottom card couldn't be telling us anything. And the top card would have to tell us whether blue is even or odd. And blue is the first number, so it would also tell us whether purple is even or odd. So if we were told there are 3 numbers in sequence, this number would have to tell us the parity of blue, which would also tell us the parity of yellow and purple, and therefore I wouldn't need E. Okay, finally got there. B can't tell us there are 3 numbers in ascending order. This is impossible. What if... What if this told me that yellow were 5, which is what it would mean for yellow to be greater than 4? First of all, that would rule out a sequence of length 3. But there could be a sequence of length 2 if there were a 4 somewhere else in the puzzle. I don't think there's really a way to rule that out yet. Okay. Well, let's see. I think I'm ready to start asking verifiers questions. Finally, 20 minutes into the video. I'd like to test A in a situation where A is less than 4, but the sum of A, sorry, not A, where yellow is less than 4, but the sum of blue and purple is more than 6. Because those are the two most common outcomes. This increases my chances of getting a yes, which would eliminate the most possibilities here. Actually, right. The sum of two numbers could be greater than or less than 6. And if I say that A is less than 4, that makes it harder for their sum to be 6 or more than average. So actually lower than 6. Well, wait, hang on. But there's no interplay between these two. If A is less than 4, then we don't know about this sum. So I don't think there's any... Okay. Less than 6 and more than 6 are equally likely. Ugh, okay. And A less than 4 is slightly most common here. So I guess I just want to make sure I have a number less than 4 when I ask A. And I'd like to check... I don't know, let's make sure there's a sequence. Or which ones have the most open possibilities left? Those are who I should query. I should make sure to hit A, C, and E. Because B and D both only have 4 possibilities remaining. So A, C... Okay, let's have purple be bigger, I guess. And blue be more than 1. So 2, 3, 5. I think that hits a good part of A and C. I just want to make sure I hit something good on E, which anything counts, right? As long as I don't have 3 evens or 0 evens, which is the case. So this will definitely eliminate... Wait, E? Am I looking at E? Oh, E only has 4 possibilities. It looked like it had more. Okay. There's 4 remaining. Okay, so I just need to make sure I hit A and C. Actually, I might not want E to be the other one I hit, because... I could almost turn this card face down and ignore it for the rest of the game. I don't think I actually can, but I know this... no, I don't know that. Right, that's the whole point. I guess, maybe, could I turn this one face down? Seems kind of crazy, but... No, either one of them could be telling me something important. I know either this will tell me there's 1 even or 2 evens, or this will tell me whether the sum is even or odd. But that doesn't mean there's 1 or 2 evens. Like, if I knew, somehow, that there were definitely 1 or 2 evens in the code, then these 2 cards would be identical. They would be the same as this one. But I don't know that. There's a difference. This one gives me less information than this, if it's the one that's active. So, I mean, is E the one I want to ask? I'd kind of like to know about D, actually. And I think this is still fine. It eliminates exactly half the possibilities from D no matter what. So, okay. Let's ask A first. Oh, nope. First, let's write down our question. And then ask A. A says yes. Good. I was aiming for a yes, and I got it. So this is impactful. It tells me either that the verifier checks that yellow is less than 4, or that their sum is less than 6. And those are both the leftmost possibilities, right? So I can... Ah! Don't tell everyone I can't draw straight lines. Come on. Give me the straight line tool so I look like a damn genius. The idiot savant of drawing straight lines. Is idiot savant a rude thing to say? I'm not sure. It didn't used to be, but it might be now. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We learned that much. I still want to check with C. Let's do that. Also a yes. That's probably helpful. So either blue is greater than 1, which would not be a shock. Well, either the verifier is checking blue is greater than 1, or yellow is less than purple. It's checking one of those two things. Right? Yeah. So we ruled out... Wait, I've drew in the wrong marker area. Drew in the wrong place. Okay, undo those last couple marks. Those were in B, and they should have been in C. Right. So there can't... It can't be that the verifier is checking that blue is 1, and it can't be checking this or this. Furthermore, we got a yes from C. Okay. So there are 3 verifiers left that each have 4 possibilities. If I ask E, I will learn something that's true about the code. I won't necessarily learn everything about the verifier, but I'll learn something true. I'm not sure how helpful it will be, though. I think I'd rather know about the pair and the parity of blue. So let's ask D. Also, yes. So either D is checking for no pairs or is checking for even blue. So it can't be checking for pair. And even's on the right, isn't it? Nope, it's on the left. Okay, well that was a great round 1. I don't think we're ready to solve the puzzle yet, but we learned a ton. I'd like to make sure I can query B and I guess E. And then one of the others to narrow something down. Anything will hit E perfectly, as long as I don't have all evens or all odds. What do I need to do to land somewhere good on B? Nothing? I need to make sure I don't have a sequence of 3, I guess. Well, no, because I know this is impossible. Oh, but I want to make sure I either have no sequence or a sequence of 2, so that I'm in one half of this card and one half of this card. Can I make any new superfluosity deductions? For example, I now like have some reason to believe that yellow is smallish. Like, that's not amazing or anything, but it's something. Like, either it's less than 3 or it plus blue are less than 6. So yellow can't be 5 anymore, right? Yeah, that's true. Okay. I did something good. Good work. And what is it that I know about blue? From C and D? Either blue is greater than 1, or yellow is less than purple. And either blue is odd, or there are no pairs. No. Either blue is even, or there are no pairs. Huh. It seems like C is kind of important right now. Even though it's not one of the ones I have left with 4 slots. If I could narrow down what it's saying, I might learn something over here. Like if C said, "Oh, blue is 1," that would be really cool. But probably it won't. Probably it'll just say blue isn't 1. No, wait, it can't say that. Right. That's why it's cool. Or it'll tell me how yellow and purple are related. Oh, what do I know? Hang on. So I know either blue is greater than 1 or yellow is less than purple. I don't think I can do anything directly with that. Okay, let's ask B, C, and E. But I'm going to start with C? That might let me eliminate what's going on. But if I'm not asking D this round anyway, there's no reason to ask C first, I don't think. So let's see, B. I just have to make sure I choose something like this. For example, even 2, 3, 5 is one of its examples. So as far as B is concerned, almost anything is fine. How about E? Again, anything is fine. And to query C, that I have to be careful with. I want to make sure I'm testing... Well... 2, 3, 5 would also work, right? No, something's gone wrong. Why is it that I think I want to use the same set of numbers a second time and then ask the same verifier? I must be stupid. Yes, that is true. I am stupid. So like 4, 5, 3 would be okay. Because on B, that's hitting this or one of these. And it's hitting yellow. No. It's hitting blue is more than 1, but nothing down here. So I'll narrow it down to either this or this. And then on E, it has some parity. Who knows what it is? And that'll narrow down half the possibilities. Okay, so let's do that. 453 is my number. And I'm going to ask B first. Another check mark. I am a good guesser, huh? Ah! My painful scrawling. Okay. Good. So we learned then that B gave us a check mark for 453. So it can't be saying that purple is even. And it can't be saying there's no sequence. Okay, good news. Let's try C next. It says it likes that too. So it could be checking that blue is greater than 1, but it could not be checking that yellow is less than purple. So we now know for sure, oops, let's put a check mark here. Oh, that's too low. Check mark here. We can now say this is definitely telling us blue greater than 1. I mean, it's not much, but it's honest work, right? Boop. Cross that off. And that doesn't tell us that much, but it lets us start, hopefully, making more redundancy deductions about other stuff. Maybe. Okay, I mean, asking E still seems good. X. So we know either that there's one even number or that the sum is even. No, sorry. We know that's not the case. There can't be one even number as the criteria. And the criteria also can't be that it's even. So we can say with certainty, then, sum is odd. And we might be told that there are two even numbers. But there could be zero even numbers. Could there be zero even numbers? Oh, actually, let's not write this down here because that's where you're supposed to write when you're finished. When you know everything. So we know the sum is odd. Okay. But there's still two possibilities here. And here and here. I don't imagine we're ready to solve the puzzle, Alex. Wait. You wouldn't say I'm ready to solve the puzzle to Alex Trebek. You would say it to that guy who hosts Wheel of Fortune. Pat Sajak. I'm ready to solve the puzzle, Pat? Anyway, I don't think we are ready. I'd like to delay asking E the last question because if I can get any information about let's see. The sum is odd, which means there are either one or three odd numbers. And if we ever need the information about whether there are 1 or 3 odds, then we will know there are 1. There is 1. If we get to the point where we can't solve it without knowing that, then we will know it, which is kind of interesting. But we don't know it yet. There could still be 3 even, or 3 odd, if it's still possible to solve the puzzle that way. Huh. Kind of weird. But if we showed that purple were even, then we would know. No, we still wouldn't, would we? Of course. Because for the sum to be odd, there could be only 1 even. There couldn't be... Sorry, there would have to be 2 evens. There couldn't just be 1. And I still wouldn't know which of these criteria is telling me that, but I would at least know a true thing about the code. Okay, so I guess I'd like to hit B up again this round, and A? It would sure be useful to know which of these things is true, probably. C I already have nailed down. E I think I can work out as needed. So right, A, B, and D are the ones I want to query, right? Oh yeah, and finding out whether, if I could find out that, let's see, D. If I found out D is even, sorry, blue is even from D, or purple is even from B, those are both the possibilities still, right? No, B can't tell me purple is even. I've already ruled that out as a criteria. But if I learned that blue were even, then I would know how many evens are in the code. I would know there's 1 other. And it still might be purple, even though I know this criterion isn't testing for purple even. It could be the case. I would just know that it couldn't be testing for it. Anyway, I don't know. So let's get an even blue in here. Well, actually, an even or odd blue would... No. Well, okay. Let's get an odd blue... No, fuck. Which one is it in D? An even blue with a pair is what I want to test, I think. So, like, give me another 4. Because now, if I get a yes, I'll know... Somehow I already eliminated the possibility that there's a pair? That doesn't seem right. Oh, because yes saw no pairs and said yes. Okay, sorry, in round 2, D saw no pairs and said yes. Okay. So there can't be a pair. So this way, if I get a yes from D, I'll know it can't be because there's a pair. It must be because blue is even. Okay, so that's my plan for asking D. How does this do for asking B? There's a sequence of size 1, which I like. Or which would hit this. And it doesn't hit this because purple isn't odd. Great. How are we doing for asking A? I want to hit one of these 2 quadrants. Either their sum is less than 6. It ain't so. Or yellow is less than 4. 4. So I guess 4, 3, 4 is the way to go. That hits the quadrants I want to hit. Or the sections I want to hit. just double check I'm in the right areas here. For A, I'm in not the upper left, but I am in the bottom left, so that's good. For B, I'm not in the top right, but I am in the bottom middle. That's what I want. And for D, I'm in the top left, and I'm not in the bottom left. Perfect. Okay, this is the number I want. Let's ask D first. Oh, no, before I do anything, let's write down my guess. 4, 3, 4. We got a no from D in this round. So that means it can't be checking that blue is even, right? Right. So it must be checking that there are no pairs. Okay, good to know. Let's actually put a little check mark in there. Let's check in with B now, I think. The fact that there are no pairs, does that help me somehow avoid? I don't think so. An X from B as well. So it can't be checking that there are two numbers in order. So it must actually be checking that purple is odd. Well, that's interesting. So, okay, I can... There we go. Purple is definitely odd. Now, what does that tell me about E? You know, I guess... I should have made sure that my numbers were also a useful question for E in case I decided I don't want to talk to A. But I think I will want to talk to A. Anyway, what does it tell me about E? I know that purple is odd. But that's not a surprise. I already knew there was 1 or 3 odd numbers. Right? If I asked E, I would learn nothing. So it definitely is not what I should do. So I can either solve now or ask A. And it's sort of time, I think, to see if I can, if any of these possibilities can be ruled out. So could it be telling me there are 2 even numbers? If it were telling me, I already know purple's odd. So it would be telling me blue and yellow are even. And there are no pairs, so they would have to be 2 and 4 in some order. Blue being greater than 1 would then be redundant, right? No. I wouldn't need to know blue is greater than 1, but that wouldn't make the whole card redundant, would it? Maybe. What else could I know from C? I would... So obviously I already know C is telling me that blue is greater than 1. But in order to think about whether I could make C redundant, I need to forget what I know about C and think about what other cards are telling me in this hypothetical universe. If E told me there were 2 even numbers, and I knew that purple was odd, and I knew that there's no pairs, because I've already got B and D, then I would know yellow and purple are 2 and 4 in some order. And therefore, I would know this half of the verifier couldn't be telling me anything. This couldn't be a criterion. But these 2 could still be useful, right? Would knowing the sum of this help me at all? Well, hang on. What could A still be telling me? It's either telling me the sum of blue and yellow is less than 6. Or it's telling me yellow is less than 4. So if what it's actually telling me is yellow is less than 4, then this card would be redundant. Well, rather, if E were telling me that there's only 1 even number. No, it can't be telling me that. If it were telling me that there were 2 even numbers, and this were less than 4, that's impossible, because a card would be redundant in that case. So we've eliminated 1 out of 4 possibilities, and I need like another note paper to keep track of this. What if this told me that there were 2 even numbers, and this were telling me the sum of blue and yellow is less than 6? Well, if there were 2 even numbers, they would still have to be blue and yellow, right? Hang on, wait, did I do a dumb? What do I know about it? It would have to be purple and yellow, right? D... No, purple's the odd one. I think I somehow got confused and thought that purple was one of the evens in this universe. But purple's odd. It would be blue and yellow that are both even. If blue and yellow were both even and they were different, because there's no pairs, then the sum of them would be 6, wouldn't it? And that's impossible? Or rather, their sum could be 6, but that couldn't be what the criteria thing is telling me, because I tested against that. So if this tells me there's 2 evens, purple's the only odd, blue and yellow are the evens, there's no pair, so they're different, so they're 2 and 4, then I would know this can't be what it's telling me, because I know their sum is 6. So this would have to be telling me yellow is less than 4. Which would tell me yellow is 2 and blue is 4. But I don't think that makes anything redundant, does it? Well, it means purple would have to be 5. Because the code would start 4, 2. No, wait. I don't care about... There's no... I know there's no pairs. I don't know there's no sequences. So if this tells me there are 2 evens, then I can conclude that yellow is 2. I don't need to look at A anymore. I would conclude yellow is 2. Blue is 4. And I couldn't nail down purple at all. I would know it's odd, but there would be no way to tell apart 1, 3, and 5. They would all be perfectly valid. Right? It would just be 4, 2 odd, and that's as far as I could get. If this were telling me there were 2 even numbers. I think. So it must not be telling me how many evens there are, and only tell me that the parity is odd. What? Really? It seems like that's less information. Why does that help? Because then I could get a different... That less information would leave me less constrained, so I could get an answer out of this thing that gives me more information than this would give me. Okay, so if I didn't know how many evens there were in the answer, then I guess I would have to look at A. And I think, again, if it just told me yellow is less than 4, I would have even more trouble narrowing down the possibilities. So I think it must tell me that blue and yellow are less than 6. So let's speculatively write both of those in. I don't know. Green? Purple? Let's write both of those in and see if that lets me come to a unique solution. Because I think every other possibility doesn't. So this should let me come to a unique solution, but I want to check before I submit it, obviously. So if I knew purple were odd and there were no pairs, and the sum is odd, blue would have to be at least 3. I think. Well, so here's what I'm thinking is there would have to be 3 odd numbers, right? Because if there were only one odd number, I'd be in the same pickle I was in when this thing was telling me there's exactly one odd number. I think. Maybe there's some way where if I know there's one odd number, but this thing didn't tell me that, maybe I get a different amount of wiggle room. But I think if I allow only one odd number, i.e. purple... that's impossible, given the two assumptions I've made here. If purple is the only odd number, then yellow and blue are both even, and they're different, which contradicts my belief that their sum is less than 6. They would sum to 6. So, from this I can conclude that there are, in fact, 3 odd numbers. Which would mean... well, blue can't be 1. They're all odd. Blue can't be 1, because I already crossed it off from C. It can't be 5, because then the sum with yellow would be too big, so it must be 3. And then for yellow and blue to add to less than 6 while yellow is odd, yellow would have to be 1. For there to be no pairs, purple would have to be 5. And I think this all, like, matches up, right? There's no contradictions in here. From these 5 constraints, I arrive at a unique solution. So this is a possible way that the verifiers could be arranged such that the puzzle has a unique solution, and I believe no redundant verifiers either, right? I needed to use all 5 of these to get here. So, the question is it the only way that these verifiers could be arranged that leads to a unique solution? And I think I already proved it is. Because if this told me there were 2 even numbers, I'd be toast. Right? The sum couldn't be less than 6. So it would have to tell me that yellow is less than 4, which means it would be 2. Blue, if I get 4, 2, but then there's no way I could nail down purple between 5, 3, 1. So this one we can definitely say, weirdly, it must be telling me... no, hang on, that's the wrong thing. I guess it's not weird, is it? I had said earlier that if I ever need to know the number of evens and odds in the puzzle in order to solve the puzzle, then I will know that there are 2 evens and 1 odd. In this case, though, knowing there are 2 evens and 1 odd makes the puzzle unsolvable. And so I don't need to know that, and instead I find out there are 3 odds. Now that I'm sure that this just tells me the sum is odd, is it really the case that A has to tell me these sum to less than 6, or could it be telling me that yellow is less than 4, which is what this box signifies? If instead, let's use another color. Let's suppose that instead I knew this. Yellow less than 4. Purple's odd, there's no pairs. Yellow's less than 4. I mean, how the hell do you solve this? It's so unconstrained what yellow and blue can be. Blue can't be 1, and it can't be the same as yellow. But there's no way to tell, like, blue 5 and blue 4 apart. You know, yellow, I mean, sure, it couldn't be 4. Amazing. But it could be 3 or 2 or 1. And blue would just have to be a different number with the same parity, right? So if yellow is 2, blue would have to be 4. If yellow is 3, blue would have to be 5. If yellow is 1, blue could be 5 or 3. There's just too many possibilities. You can't nail it down. So I agree with my earlier self that purple universe is unsolvable. We're living in the pinkiverse right now. So I think I'm ready to solve it. I think it's 315. There's no like reason to click these. It's just like nice for me to have written down exactly what I think so I don't get confused while entering it. So I'd like to test a code, please. I think the code is 315. What do you say? This is the correct code. Thank goodness. So how did I do compared to the machine? We got yeses on ACD. In round 2, we got yeses on BC, no on E. And then in round 3, no's from B and D. The machine took one more question, but the same number of rounds. So stopping early, I mean, okay. Who cares if you beat the machine, right? The goal is to do like a good job and be satisfied with yourself. We could have asked one more question and still like tied the machine, which the game considers to be beating it. But we had to stop here and realize that any questions we asked of A and E were redundant. Maybe my last question, I forget which one I even asked last. Was it B or D? Maybe that was redundant too. Maybe I could have proven that there's only one way that it would have been unique, but I would have had to go through 8 cases. Like, it seems like a lot. So I didn't. I'm happy with this. My first extreme play, and I solved it in a pretty reasonable amount of time. Well, not time. I mean, it's been an hour, but number of questions and rounds. And I didn't get overwhelmed or make any like incorrect inferences from confused redundancy. I'm sure I missed a number of actual possible redundancy inferences or something like that. I don't know. A successful experiment. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.